Double bag alert, double bag alert, double bag alert, double bag alert, folks. That's right. We got two bag alerts. Is this I think it's safe to say that the bag alerts are back, folks. I've been waiting for this. You've been waiting for this. We all here at the Football Junkies podcast have been waiting for this, okay? Trent Williams is now holding out, looking for money, okay? Does this add pressure to the 49ers to win it all this year or not? We're going to talk about that, as well as CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons looking to reset the market while Dak is throwing out subliminals. I want to be here, but you guys don't want me to be here. But I'll take the money, but I don't know if you want to give me the money. All of this and more, as well as a very controversial take. Should the Cowboys trade one of the three, two of the three, or all of the three? All of this and more on the 18th episode of the Football Junkies podcast. I'm your host, Kale, who is currently looking at the cap space for all 32 teams, trying to figure out what is the best course of action for all 32 teams moving forward. Kale, let's lock in. All right, folks, let's just jump right into the news. Okay, so we have two bag alerts for the same position. Isn't that crazy? I know. Come on, man. Who? When you, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. The bag alerts are back, folks. Okay, they're back. I don't care what anyone says. The bag alerts are back, and I am so excited for this. Okay, man. The first thing that I do in the morning is check to see if we got any more bag alerts. Okay, just seeing and knowing that we got more bag alerts just warms my heart. Okay, so let's start with the first person. Okay, safety for the Seahawks, former Giant safety as well, Julian Love. Into a 3-year, $36 million extension. He'll be making $12 million a year, right? And, okay, let's look at the other safety, Jabril Peppers, just inked a 3-year, $24 million extension that can go up to $30 million. So when you look at both of these contracts, right, Julian Love will probably be making $12 million a year, and Jabril Peppers could possibly be making close to $8, maybe $10 million a year. Both of them are really good team-friendly deals, okay? Especially with the safety market not being as robust as other markets, such as, pass rusher market, cornerback market, the defensive lineman market, even the linebacker market. So both of these players are very pivotal players on the defense, okay? Now, I definitely will. When I do read the stats for the both of them, you're probably going to be thinking, well, that person really shouldn't have gotten paid that amount of money. But sometimes, and this is a problem that I also deal with myself, is sometimes stats always don't tell the story, right? A lot of times you just have to see their play on the field to know, like, hey, this is somebody that, is worth the type of money they're getting. And then, if we can be real here, these are very short-term deals. These aren't a long, drawn-out deal. These are very short-term deals. So push come to shove, after this season, if they feel like it's time for them to move on or whatnot, guess what? It's not that big of a dead cap hit. It's fairly digestible, and it's easy to move on to another team. So I mean, if we can be real here, it's a win-win situation for all sides altogether. Now, when we look at Julian Love's stats for this past season, so he was tied for 7th in the league with 4 interceptions. He had 2 forced fumbles, 85 solo tackles, and 10 pass deflections, right? According to Pro Football Reference. Shout out to Pro Football Reference as well. Now, when we look at Jabril Peppers' stats, right? He only had 1 forced fumble, 2 picks, 8 pass deflections, 52 solo tackles, right? Now, again, now you're probably wondering, Jabril Peppers, man, those stats really don't say anything. They do. You just he is a type of player that you have to see his play than to like just go by his stats. He's not a stat person where it's like, oh, he's going to be tied for this, or he's going to be top 5 in this category, or top 10 in this category. Like, no, like Jabril Peppers, and I can remember when he was coming out of Michigan, he was a dynamic, like explosive player. You're talking about somebody who was just all over the field, who was making an impact. That's who he is. That's who I categorize him as, a impact player who, he's gonna get the job done, but at the same time, you know, he can lay the lumber on you. He's a hitter. He is a hitter. He will hit you, and the Patriots need somebody like that. They need somebody with that type of mindset because and this could probably open up to somewhat of a bigger sub segment as well. The Patriots defense is actually in a really good situation. And the reason why I say that is because you have Jabril Peppers, right? Cool. Then you have Christian Gonzalez. We're not going to talk about that because that can be a 2-hour segment that we're just not going to go down the road for. We're just not. Nope, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Should have went to the Steelers, but I'm going to leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You have Christian Barmore, so they have pieces, right? They have pieces, and they're in a really good situation. Now, I understand, Bill Belichick, definitely gets a lot of negativity thrown at him just because of, how he handled a lot of situations when he was the head coach for the Patriots and how he handled things with Tom Brady and whatnot. But when we really look at things, folks, he left that defense. Well, not only the defense, but he left the team in somewhat of a good situation. If we can be real here, the Patriots are in a situation where if they hit on the next 2 drafts, they could go back to being a very dangerous team. They really can, honestly speaking. They have a lot of cap space. They have a rookie quarterback. So that just allows them to continue to bring in people, bring in big talent, and sign them to contracts where you really don't have to worry about. You don't. And then if we really want to go down the road and really go down into this iceberg, pretty soon the Jets are going to implode. Yes, I said it. I'm going to be the person that said it. I'm going to be the person with the controversial take today. The Jets are going to blow up. And, it won't be long before the Bills do as well. And even the Dolphins. All those 3 teams are in very dire win now situations. Well, not all 3. It's mainly the 2. It's mainly the Bills and the Dolphins. It's not really the Jets. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what this person or that person says. To me, the Jets are not a team that I can say like, oh, they're a playoff team. Oh, they can win a Super Bowl. I can't say that because they still have holes on that team that needs to be addressed, as well as coaching. Let's call it for what it is, folks. The Jets needed to go out of their way to try to get try to get a better offensive coordinator, okay? Because Nathaniel Hackett, to me, is not an offensive coordinator. He's a towel boy. He is Aaron Rodgers' towel boy. I said it. I'm going to stand on that because that offense did not really do a whole lot. And mind you, that offense is not, just some subpar, lackluster offense that doesn't have any talent. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall. You have Alan Lazard, if I'm not mistaken. You still have Aaron Rodgers, who can still throw one of the fastest and prettiest, tight spiral balls in the league. You still have that. So why in the world was the offense so lackluster last season? Not to mention, they have, and I'll give them credit for it, they have started to invest into the offensive line a little bit more, especially when it came to the draft and whatnot. So the pieces are there. It's just a matter of, are things going to, to mesh together, and when will that happen? Compared to when you have, the Bills, who they still have Josh Allen now. Their receiver situation is a little bit weird, but who knows? They might try to go after somebody and whatnot. And then you have the Dolphins. The Dolphins have Tua for now, air quote, big air quote, little star asterisk to the side. You have David Archan, you have Raheem Mostert, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle. So you have people, right? But at the same time, they're in situations where they basically they front loaded their mortgage. They basically said, to hell with it. We're going to see we're going to see how things shake out. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, guess what happens? You're put in a situation where now you're pushed back 5 steps backwards instead of 5 steps forwards. And so what happens is now people are looking to get out of their contracts. People want to be put in better situations. All those different type of things, okay? Because let's be real here. If the Patriots get another, top 10 pick, especially with it being a defensive heavy draft class, if they get someone like a Mason Graham or a Deion Walker or Will Johnson on that team, if they get Will Johnson not going up against, but across from Christian Gonzalez, oh my God. Oh my God. You want to talk about dangerous? You got a dangerous defense, okay? A very dangerous defense that is on the rise. People are going to doubt them because they're still going through that phase of rebuilding, but just know they are going to be dangerous. You heard it here first on the Football Junkies podcast. Jets fans, if you're mad at me, perfectly fine. I don't really care. Just know I'm sleeping on you guys, okay? I'm sleeping on you guys. I got my blanket beside me. I got my nice pillow. I got me on a good documentary. I'm sleeping on you guys. Okay? I want to see it. I want to see it. If they go on a tear, if they come out the season guns blazing and they're in a position to be the first or the second best team in their division, then guess what? I'll take everything back. I'll take everything back. I'll say, you know what? I was wrong. The Jets were right. All those different type of things. But I just don't see it. I just don't. I would put my money on the Bills going to the Super Bowl before I do the Jets. But I digress. Right? Now, moving on to the offensive line situation with the 49ers. Because why? The 49ers had just continued to be a nuisance. Well, not really a nuisance, but just continue to be in the news all off season long. So everybody reported the training camp, and come to find out Trent Williams didn't show out, and come to find out he's holding out for a new contract. Whoa. Whoa. Man, if you would have thought Brandon Ayuk was just a situation, now you got Trent Williams. Whoa, this is not looking good for them. It's not. You just have to laugh at this type of stuff, folks, because whether we want to admit it or not, right? The 49ers are in, the pressure is on them, okay? It's really, really, really bad for them, okay? And I'm going to explain why in just a second. When you're in a situation where you have basically now you have 3 major contracts that you're going to have to worry about. And Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, and now Brock Purdy, it sort of puts a lot of pressure on you, because if you can't win a Super Bowl now, when are you ever going to do it, right? They have accumulated so much talent on that team on both sides of the ball that it's like, yo, you got to win at this point. You have Trent Williams, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave. You got Fred Warner, Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Rock Ya-Sin. They got a lot. They got players. They got ballers on that team. And they're in a situation where they got to win. They have to. Now, granted, they'll probably be, the front runners to, win it all, win the division and all that different type of stuff. But at the same time, this is added pressure to them, because with the left tackle market, sort of resetting, it puts more pressure on them, because guess what? Trent Williams is still, if not the best, one of the best left tackles in the game right now. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, he's a little bit older. Oh, he must have lost a little pep in his step. No, he's not. He is still an elite left tackle. And since being with the 49ers, his play has actually elevated even more since he was with Washington. I'm sorry. You guys made a really bad decision. I'm just going to be honest here. But when we break things down, right? So I'm gonna do it in a way to sort of like go a little bit in the past to go in the future. Okay. So when we look at it, right, Trent Williams' current contract was a 6-year, $138 million deal. He was getting a $30 million signing bonus, $55.1 million guaranteed, and he was making $23 million a year at that time when he signed that deal, right? But things have changed since he signed that deal, right? When you look at the highest paid tackles by annual average, according to Pro Football Network, Christian Darrisaw's new deal, $28.25 million. Penei Sewell, $28 million. Laremy Tinsel, $25 million. Andrew Thomas, $23.5 million. And Trent Williams is $23.01 or just $23 million, right? So, although yes, he's still top 5 and highest paid tackles, this was bound to happen, right? It was bound to happen at some point. It was just a matter of, was it going to happen, last year, this year, next year, whenever, right? And, when you look at it, Trent Williams is in a situation where, guess what? He can hold out. He can hold out. He can do that because why? Everybody knows that the 49ers cannot go into the season without Trent Williams. They know that. Because if they try to do that, it is going to end horribly. It is. Because whether we want to admit it or not, Trent Williams is still elite. He is still a mover. He can still hold his own against some of the best pass rushers, not only in his division, but in the league as a whole, right? And so the question is he going to crest that $30 million a year mark, or is it going to be a situation where the 49ers are just going to have to let him just play his contract out and then maybe try to deal with it next offseason? Because whether we want to admit it or not, folks, guess what? Brock Purdy's contract is coming up soon. Yes, that's right. That's right. That quarterback, yeah, pretty soon he's going to get paid. And when he gets paid, oh, that's it. That's the nail in the coffin right there. Because and this will open up to something a little bit more here. Brock Purdy's in a situation where if he wins the Super Bowl for the 49ers, blank check. No matter, you write the amount, and guess what? They'll do it. That's what it is. That is where the 49ers are at right now. On top of Brandon Ayuk. So you have a lot of things that you have to worry about and try to figure out within a small amount of time. Because when we look at, Brock Purdy's market value, according to SpotRack, shout out to who? SpotRack. It's a 5-year, $254.5 million deal. He will be making $50 million a year. 50. And that's just the market value. That's probably not even counting if he was to win a Super Bowl. If he won a Super Bowl, that's an $60 million guaranteed. So again, the pressure is on the 49ers right now to win a Super Bowl. The pressure is on there is so much pressure on them now to win a Super Bowl that it takes away the pressure that's on the Chiefs, the Lions, the Ravens, and other teams that are in that bubble to win a Super Bowl. It really is. Because no one can say, oh, the 49ers didn't have talent. They can't say, oh, the 49ers, they wasn't equipped the best. They didn't have the best luck. No, they didn't. They've always had the best. They had one year where they had Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner and Nick Bosa on one line. All right? They've had a top 5, top 10 offense and defense. They've done it all. It's just a matter of finishing. Now, some that can be contributed to a certain person, Kyle Shanahan, and his lack of coaching. And a lot of that can be orchestrated on, people being available, some people not being available. It's just a very difficult situation right now for the 49ers. I don't know how John Lynch is going to get it done, but who knows? Maybe it happens after this recording. Who knows? Maybe I could be done with this episode, getting ready to edit. Next thing I know, Trent Williams inks a new deal. Who knows? But hey, guess what? It's not my team, right? Now, time to talk about my favorite team. Time to talk about my favorite team. The Cowboys. That's right. That's right. How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? Oh, just an amazing feeling just to know that the Cowboys are going to crumble like flour hitting water. Oh, just an amazing feeling. This is the cherry on top. So we finally have a little bit more information on what exactly the ballpark is for both CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. So apparently, CeeDee Lamb is looking to reset the market as well as Micah Parsons, right? Now, you're probably thinking they could probably do it. Yes, they can. But the problem is, Cowboys can't afford it. The Cowboys are in a situation, right, where literally they have 3 players that they are going to probably have to reset the market for. Now, you're probably wondering, could they do it? Not really. Not really, because whether we want to admit it or not, Dak Prescott is probably going to hit that $60 million a year mark. Okay. CeeDee Lamb could easily, well, not easily, but he could probably surpass Justin Jefferson's deal, right? And then you have Micah Parsons, who he could probably, reset the market as well. So it's a very difficult situation for them because, for one, they're at a crossroads. They're at a very difficult, path right now because, for one, they need to go through a rebuild, but I don't think Jerry wants to do that, right? And, granted, the Cowboys are good when it comes to the regular season. It's just when they get to the playoffs that they just crumble, right? It's like this, right? Cowboys and playoffs, they don't go in the same sentence. They just don't. They just don't. That little meme of that head coach when he says playoffs, you want to talk about playoffs? Same thing with the Cowboys, right? They are in a situation where, Jerry says we're all in, we're all in, we're all in. You guys aren't in. You guys aren't in. You don't even know what all in means. You wouldn't know if it came up to you, slapped you in the face and said, hey, I'm all in. You wouldn't. Because guess what? Every single time that you guys have assembled these great teams, guess what you do? Choke. Y'all be, whew, man. It's bad. It's bad. And, people can't say, oh, Cowboys fans don't have a lot of talent. They've had talent. They've had a lot of talent. They drive very well. Very well. So we can't just continue to beat on the drum about them. But however, the situation with all of this is who's going to get the deal first. That's the real question. Because Dak is training with the team right now. I think Micah Parsons is too. CeeDee Lamb is the only one that isn't. So, this and this will definitely be a segment, to definitely talk about who is going to get the deal, right? Who's going to be first in line? Who are they going to prioritize? Because if it was me personally, and I know this will probably be controversial, it would probably be between either Micah Parsons or Dak Prescott. Because whether we want to admit it or not, Mike McCarthy will probably not be the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. I just don't. I think there's a lot of pressure on Mike McCarthy to try to turn this team, into a Super Bowl caliber team, and I just don't feel like they have the adequate pieces nor the cap space to do that at this point. I just don't, personally. It's basically like Jerry Jones is basically telling Mike McCarthy, hey, I want you to turn this water into wine for me. I want you to turn this $5 into $5 million, right? Because whether we want to admit it or not, For one, next year's draft class is going to be a defensive heavy draft class. That's one. Two, it is likely that Bill Belichick will probably be the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. He probably will. And that's going to be another segment in itself as well. Because when we look at it, right, the quarterback draft class next year is not going to be strong, right? It's just not. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to be willing to tank to get one of those quarterbacks. I just don't. And so I think, Dak has more on his side than what a CeeDee Lamb or a Micah Parsons do, right? Dak is in a situation where when you look at the regular season, he's good. He gets the job done. He wins games. He, whatever you need him to do, he does it, right? But when he gets to the playoffs, it's a whole different ball game, right? And granted, I understand you're literally division rivals with the Eagles and whatnot. I get all those different type of things. But, at some point, the pressure does have to be put on Dak Prescott to at least take the team to the NFC Championship, at least, right? Because Jared Goff did it with the Lions after he was basically sent to the Lions to basically die, right? Dak, you have to do this. You have to do this. Now, when we look at CeeDee Lamb's situation is unique because with it being, once again, a defensive heavy draft class, that means that there's not going to be as many notable receivers as it has been, for the last few years now. So I think teams would be more willing to sort of, make a crazy trade for someone like a CeeDee Lamb compared to trying to take a risk on someone, in the draft. That's just how I view it, honestly. And then not to mention the value for CeeDee Lamb is a little bit higher now than what it has been lately because why? CeeDee Lamb is still an elite receiver. He still is. And, granted, you're going to have to pay him a whole lot of money, but that's the general norm now for receivers. You're going to have to pay them a lot of money. You're just going to have to. And so there are going to be teams who they feel like they're in a situation where they just need a receiver, to take them where they want to go. And so a team will be willing to mortgage that for a receiver like a CeeDee Lamb compared to trying to go through the draft or trying to get somebody through free agency or another trade or whatever the case may be, right? Because whether we want to admit it or not, CeeDee Lamb is in the driver's seat for his situation, right? Even though, yes, he wants to reset the market, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be willing to do that. I just don't. Because, again, you have a lot of people that you have to sign. You have a lot of question marks that you have to answer. And, you could probably get another first-round pick. Well, you probably get, of course, a first-round pick. You could probably get a day 2 and a day 3 pick for CeeDee Lamb. You can do that. And if you get that, you'll have 2 first-round picks. You'll probably have, some other high picks that you can use to really retool this roster like how it really needs to be done. That's what you have to do at this point. Because if you don't do it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to continue to try to reshuffle the deck. And guess what? You're always going to lose. That's what it is. Now, when you look at Micah Parsons' situation is a little bit unique in itself because although, yes, he is one of the best, young pass rushers, the question is, what is his value? What is his market, right? Is it something around Nick Bosa's? Is it something around TJ Watts? Is it something around Myles Garrett? Is it something around Max Crosby's? That's the real question because even with his situation, he plays a position that is starting to be valued more by GMs, by coaches, and, by defensive coordinators. If you get a Micah Parsons on one of these other teams, you got problems. You do. You pair him up with any of these other pass rushers, that is a problem. But again, the problem is how much money is he going to want? That is the question for all of these three. And granted, Dak is trying to be very cordial about it, but at the same time, be honest about it. He's definitely said, the right things and whatnot, but I do feel like he is definitely basically saying, the ball is not in my court. The ball is in the Cowboys' court. I want to be here. It's a matter of, do they want me to be here? Right? And so the real question is, if it was me personally, who would I trade? Me personally, I would trade CeeDee Lamb. I would trade CeeDee Lamb. I would try to figure out what I could do with Micah Parsons. If I can't do anything with Micah Parsons, then I would trade him as well. And I would keep Dak. That's what I would do at this point. Because whether we want to admit it or not, guess what? There's still a lot of turnover for a lot of receivers coming out the league. Well, coming out of college now. It's basically somewhat of a factory at this point, because you're seeing receivers, elite receivers, who are, being drafted in the later parts of the draft now, right? And are becoming, instant playmakers week one, right? So, you have that on top of when you bring someone in like a Bill Belichick, guess what? He's going to coach and he's going to build up these players, right? That if you don't believe me, look at some of those defenses when, during the Patriots dynasty. A lot of those players were players that were drafted in the later parts of the draft, or undrafted free agents, or just, just anybody, right? That's who they were. And Bill Belichick molded them and made them into, great players. Okay. So, you could probably get almost 2 first-round picks for between, CeeDee Lamb and Michael Parsons, and then, other picks, because that saves you money, but at the same time, that allows you to go and to figure out whatever else you want to do. Because whether we want to admit it or not, the next big quarterback prospect that, people will probably be head over heels for is probably going to be Archie Manning. And that's going to be a few years from now. So, we don't have a whole lot of great quarterback classes, moving forward. We just don't. And granted, the only 2 people that everyone's probably going to be talking about is who? Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. That's it. People have basically shut off Shador, right? I mean, but at the same time, if you do get a rookie quarterback, that does give you more flexibility. So it's a matter of, who can you move, who can you not move? And then, not to mention, and I just realized it, Dak has a no trade clause. So that's even more in his favor, right? Because now, guess what? They can't move off of him without his approval. If he doesn't like that team, guess what? He'll say no. So it's a really messed up situation for the Cowboys. And, it really do suck. But guess what? It's the Cowboys. The Cowboys put themselves in this situation. So guess what? You gotta deal with it. 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 Because guess what? You guys, you talk about, oh, we're America's team. Oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. This is going to be our year. No, it's not. It's going to be the year where you guys crumble and fall. And I'm going to be right there. Already got my favorite chair. Already got my popcorn. All ready to go. And I'm just going to end it there, because if I'm not, I'm just going to continue to clown on the Cowboys. If you guys like what you guys are listening to, please leave a 5-star review. Leave a review wherever you listen to the Football Junkies podcast on. Shout out to Spotify, shout out to Apple Podcasts, shout out to RSS feed, shout out to everybody that we are able to give the fix to our fellow junkies, right? As well as follow us on all of our socials. Follow us on YouTube, Football_Junkies Pod, Instagram, Football_Junkies Pod, and TikTok, Football_Junkies Pod. Junkies Pod is not spaced out. It is all one word together. I hope I gave you guys the fix that you guys need. We still got a lot of things to talk about. Oh, I forgot. Thank you. This is what I will say, right? To every person that is, on social media, that is looking at all the clips from training camps of your favorite teams, do not overhype it. Do not try to, base your decisions and your opinions off of those little clips. Look at the entire story. Look at various journalists who are on the ground, who are reporting everything, okay, before you come up to an assumption. Do not believe the hype. I get it. You might see a dynamic throw, a dynamic pick or hit or whatever the case may be. But just know, do not believe in the hype. Do not. All right. It's training camp. It's a great time, but at the same time, you gotta just tone it down a little bit, because I'm seeing a lot of Steelers fans that are like, "Oh my God, Justin Fields looking good. Oh my God, Justin Fields. Oh my God, whoa. Just stop, relax, calm down, pump the brakes, okay? Drink some water, relax. RELAX, relax, okay? As always, I hope I gave you guys the fix that you guys need. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for all the love and support. This will be the 4th episode that we put out this week. Man, we are on a roll. Let's keep this thing going. Hopefully it keeps going. If there's any other news that I catch wind of, guess what? I will always give it to you guys. And as always, I love you guys. Peace and love. Have a great weekend. Drink some water, go touch some grass, do whatever, get you some ice cream or whatever. I'm out. Peace.